Hello everyone, I'm back. Today I have 4 ideas, activities to introduce, practice, exploit, explore, check vocabulary. So are you ready? Let's go with activity number 1. The name is Back to the Board. Of course, in our online lessons there are no boards, so what we're going to do is select 2 teams or make 2 teams and then choose 2 volunteers per team. This is mainly a guessing game based on free association of concepts. What do I mean by free association of concepts? Like, for example, I say the word ocean, and you have to provide a word that you first associate with the word ocean. For example, shark. And then another person will have to provide another word associated to shark. And so I say baby, because for me the association is baby shark. So that's the point of the activity, working on free association. But as it is a guessing game, there are 2 pairs of people competing against each other. Let's say the student 1 knows the word and student 2 also knows the word. And then we have students 3 and 4 who don't know the word. The requirement is that they should all provide just 1 word per turn, okay? There's something interesting to do. This is a kind of tool that Zoom offers to us, which is the waiting room. I usually use that to maybe select a volunteer or one player and who shouldn't be listening to what we say. So it's a great choice to send that person to the waiting room for some seconds. So the 2 people who are supposed to guess the word should be sent there. Could be the teacher providing the word to be guessed, or could be the same students. Now, let's suppose that you are working sports as an area of vocabulary, so maybe the word I give to students is athlete. All right, so the 2 in the waiting room are invited to return to the main session, and so we begin. Student 1 should say just 1 word, so maybe he says sports. His pair will have to say the first thing that he or she thinks of, like ball. Student 2, provide another word. Running. Student 3, let's say his pair, should say another word associated to sport and running. And so he may say race. Then student 1 goes back again and he says another word, or she says another word, Olympics. And then his or her partner provide an associated concept, for example, athletics. Student 2 provides another word and he says bolt, because proper names are allowed to use. And so his or her partner will come up with athlete. Yes, good job. So this is a great way to revise vocabulary through this guessing game based on association of concepts. Sometimes it is hard for students to just provide 1 word, but that's the challenge of the game. Once you play this maybe 4 or 5 times, changing the volunteers, maybe you can work on follow-up activities with the 4 or 5 words used in the game. Like, for example, they can invent a contextual sentence using the word given, or they can improvise a conversation using the word given, or they can write a short paragraph, again using the word given. So this is the first idea. Good. Activity number 2. This is called the spinning wheel revision game. And in order to play this game through Zoom, I chose one of the several options available in Google. It's Wheel of Names. That's the name of the application. It's very friendly as an application. If I learn it quickly, you will for sure. And it gives you the option to create your own spinning wheels. So in my case, I made 2 spinning wheels to show to you the idea of this game. Imagine that you are revising action verbs connected to routines, that's your area of vocabulary that you want to have your students practice on. So what I did is I prepared a spinning wheel with routines. Then I'm going to show it to you right now. And the idea is students will be taking turns. This could be done spontaneously, not necessarily this has to be a competition or a game. But the idea is they take turns to click on the spinning wheel, and they will get an action, and then they have 10 seconds to come up with a sentence using the action. The sentence should be, if possible, true to their own routines, okay? And so that they might need to use either affirmative sentences or negative sentences, and it also adverbs of frequency. So I'm going to show you the spinning wheel right now. So this is the way it looks. As you can see, you have to click to make it spin. And so as soon as you get the action, in this case it is have lunch, yes. So then you have 10 seconds, your students have 10 seconds to come up with an example. Yes, for example, I usually have lunch in my bedroom during the quarantine because I am in class at that time, for example. All right. So speaking about another possibilities for spinning wheels, well, there are many options, yes, but this is also great to use as a speaking activity. I prepared another spinning wheel, and instead of routines, I wrote like topics that may trigger off discussion or conversation. And so that is like students will take turns to spin the wheel, and then they will have, depending on the level, either 30 seconds or 60 seconds to speak about the topic given non-stop. And the purpose of this activity, well, is to use mainly fluency. And it's great if you have been working on connectors, because you might ask students to use the connectors seen in class. I show you the spinning wheel right now. Well, so here you have my spinning wheel. Some of the topics are reasons to stop. Oh, I don't know what I wrote because it's not complete. Me and shoes, that's one. Order or chaos, what would you choose? My favorite way to spend my free time, that could be another one. What do you see when you see me? That could be another one. Best pet to keep at home. So this is a variety of different topics. I will make it spin just to see what I get, just because I'm curious. In this case I got, order or chaos, which one is better? Oh my god. Okay, so then you have students talking about this for 30 seconds or 60 seconds. A follow-up activity to keep using spinning wheels is like you can ask students to create their own spinning wheels and to write down their own topics. That's an interesting thing to do. You can give them a limit, like no fewer than 15 topics or no fewer than 10 topics. And it is also interesting to work with spinning wheels from the point of view of themes. Yes, maybe you can, I don't know, you are talking about leisure time. And so all the questions or all the topics or the triggering sentences might be connected or must be connected to leisure time. You can also include questions, like for example, if you are revising or working with present perfect, maybe all the questions could be, have you ever seen an UFO? Have you ever lived in another country? Etc. So, but this is more connected to grammar than vocabulary. Great, good, let's pass on to the next activity. Okay, here we go with activity number 3. This is a kind of race, a vocabulary race. What I do is like, imagine that we are working with, it's just an example, but personality adjectives. And you want to revise and check whether your students remember the words and remember how to use them and the meanings. So what I do is like I make in a file in Word, I made like kind of boxes with the words. I made a selection of 15 personality adjectives. I'm gonna show it to you right now. What's the idea? You will have to divide the class into 2 groups and choose a volunteer to play from each group. You also will choose, before beginning the game, 3 or 4 like neutral players who will be the one in charge of providing definitions. Now, what's the procedure? The first time, the teacher will provide a definition. So you will call out a definition, and the 2 students who are playing should be paying attention to the definition and should try to spot the word. The one who remembers the word first will be the one allowed to answer first. But how do you know who was the one to raise the hand in this, ocean of screens and frames that you have in Zoom? Well, before playing the game, you ask students to choose a prop. The prop could be anything. Could be an object, could be a toy, could be a hat, could be a handkerchief. In this case, I have a hat and I have a handkerchief. So why? Because if the student thinks that he or she knows the answer, rather than saying me or raising the hand, we have to put on the prop quickly. And so the first person to put on the prop will be the first person allowed to answer to give the word. Okay? So I'm going to show you that chart. Well, here you have the chart. I made a random selection of personality adjectives, as you can see. Imagine that you have been working on these adjectives, you have presented them, you have discussed the meanings, but you want students to try to use them and remember them. So you play this game. Imagine that the first time, as I said before, the teacher says the definition, and so I will say, okay, this is an adjective that describes a person who's usually in a bad temper and complains about everything and has horrible mood and temper. Grumpy. Yes, very good, it's grumpy. So that's the idea. It's fun because, this question of competing against each other and putting on the prop to be chosen to be the first to answer. So it's fun and it's interesting. Then, as usual, as follow-up activities, well, there are many things you can do with vocabulary because this is simply recognition. But then it would be the students providing definitions. As I mentioned at the beginning, those neutral 3 or 4 students will be the ones in charge of actually providing definitions. But then you can work on some follow-ups, like, you can choose an adjective and then think of someone in your family who has that characteristic and say why. That could be another thing. Or you can describe someone, maybe a celebrity, and try to use 2 or 3 of these personality adjectives and justify your reasons why you have chosen them. You can also play a self-description. You can make a self-description and then play a guessing game, like you write, you describe your personality without writing down your name, and then the teacher reads out the descriptions and the other partners will have to guess. So there are many things to do. All right, so let's pass into the next activity. Great. Okay, activity number 4. This is called watermelons. Could be watermelons or any other name. The idea is like you give a student a word through the private chat, and that student will have to provide hints for the rest of the class to guess the word. So the volunteer will say something like, watermelons can be made of different fabrics, such as cotton, nylon, lycra, and then the class has to guess socks. No. Number 2, watermelons are better in summer than in winter. And then the class goes, bikinis. No. 3, watermelons are mainly worn by women, though in some countries men also wear them. Skirts. Yes, so watermelons are skirts. Now, the idea is like students should begin by the least specific description of the item, because maybe if I had said watermelons are mainly worn by women at the beginning, probably the class would have guessed my word like much faster. So you need to make that comment. Another option is like you can play the same game but replacing verbs instead of nouns. All right, in that case, instead of using watermelon, I use coffee pot, and so I send the action through private chat, or maybe the student can choose it. The problem is that sometimes students choose very obvious actions such as play computer games, and so maybe I send students more specific things such as, I don't know, wash my hair, and so I coffee pot every day. I usually coffee pot in the morning. I like coffee potting because I really like the result after I have coffee potted. Coffee potting is a very simple action. I coffee pot alone. I don't need any help. And so after 4 or 5 sentences, then the class has to guess. Well, that's the idea. I hope you find these videos, these activities useful as usual. Please send me comments if you want. It is always interesting to receive your feedback, and also suggestions to exploit these activities in different ways, okay? So it's great to have this interaction. Hope you're fine, and hope to see you soon. Bye.